Oh,
No, nah, I'm just one random device for Instagram. I did record my screen so that later on I go. I hear you.
I shall be first
Hello, please, if you are
the
not in,
Okay, that
can
call
you
for you
please
say the
mute
tweet
yourself?
yesterday.
just
Make I just let. Okay, sorry.
Josiah, yes. All right, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you guys here again. So my name is Sandra. This is not Chinyere speaking. My name is Sandra, and I'm part of the data analytics lead at Amdo Analytics. And we already know what day it is today. Today we are going to be talking about how to leverage ChatGPT prompt to build your first Excel report. So has anybody ever built an Excel report before? Apart from pivot tables and pivot charts, have you actually built a report before using Microsoft Excel? So you can leave a reply in the chat. You can leave your response or your answer in the chat if you've ever built a dashboard, a report using Microsoft Excel. Please leave your answer in the chat. I can't see any response. Please, has any of you ever built a dashboard, a report using Excel, apart from your pivot tables and pivot charts? Have you built a dashboard or a report in Microsoft Excel? Okay, Brian says no. All right, we have Shinyere, she said yes. And what about Ore and who else? Ore, Josiah, and Goodness. Okay. All right. So in today's session, we're going to see how to do that. But this time, we're going to leverage ChatGPT. All right. So this time, we are going to leverage ChatGPT. So how many of us know what Excel is used for? Does anybody have an idea of what Excel is used for? What Microsoft Excel is used for? Okay. So leave your answer in the chat. Leave your answer in the chat. All right. So Excel is used for data analysis. Is mainly used for data analysis. Excel can be used for different things, but as a data analyst, you can also use Excel to do data analysis. All right. So before we move into what Excel is used for, we're going to talk briefly on what data analysis is all about. Okay, so just hold on. I'm going to share my screen now. All right, so just hold on. So if you can see my screen, please say yes if you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right. All right, so as we all know, we are here for the master class, Amdo Analytics master class. And in this master class, like I said, we're going to be treating how to leverage ChatGPT prompt to build your first Excel report. So it's not only asking ChatGPT, how can I prepare noodles, or how can I do this and that? You can also use it as a data analyst. Okay, so at Amdo Analytics, our mission is to empower individuals in the field of data analytics by providing comprehensive and accessible training. So we don't just provide you with comprehensive training, but we make our training accessible. That is, you have access to all the materials, everything that we're going to be using for our training, you're going to have access to it. So we aim to bridge the skills gap and enable learners to make informed decisions, drive innovation, and create positive change in the data-driven world. Because the main point of data analysis is to make informed decisions. So we're going to get to that explanation very soon. So our vision is to be the catalyst for a data-driven revolution where individuals are empowered to effectively analyze and leverage data. So the key word here is effectively. You are not just analyzing data, you are going in depth because you want to be able to bring out informed or to make informed decisions. So we aspire to shape a future where data-driven insights are accessible to all, fueling innovation and unlocking endless possibilities across industries. So yeah, another keyword is across industries. As a data analyst, you can literally work anywhere. It can be in the agriculture, it can be in healthcare, project management. It can be in finance, banking sector. So you can literally work anywhere as a data analyst. So we strive to be a trusted platform that not only imparts knowledge, but also fosters a supportive community of learners, mentors, and industry professionals, propelling individuals towards successful careers and lifelong learning in data analysis. All right, so in Amdo, we actually provide you with a supportive community where whenever you have issue, you can reach out to your community peers, you can reach out to mentors, to your facilitators, and will support you. All right, so what is data analytics? This is the main. What is data analytics? I'm assuming that we're all new to data analytics. I'm assuming that we're all new. I am not new, so I'm assuming that most of us here on this call are new to data analytics. So does anybody know what data analytics is all about? Does anybody know what data analytics is all about? I'm sorry, please, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
So if
we
you
can
can
hear
hear
you.
me. All right, thank you. Goodness, I know your voice. All right, so does anybody know what data analytics is all about? Do you know what data analytics is all about? Or let me say data analysis. Let me remove the ticks. Let's say data analysis. Does anybody have an idea? Yes or no? Yes or no? So I need us to be responsive. Yes or no? Please feel free to talk. Oh, don't be shy. We're all here to learn. We're all here to learn.
Introduction to data analytics. Nothing more.
Sorry, please come again. I didn't get that.
I said no.
All right. Okay. So please let us try to be interactive. Okay. We're all here to learn. I was once a beginner. I didn't know jack, nothing. And it took me time before I was able to get, the fundamental concept. So we're all here to learn. So what is data analytics? So data analytics is the collection, transformation, and organization of data to draw conclusions. You don't just collect, transform, and organize. From your conclusions, you can also make predictions and drive informed decision-making. So data analytics is the process of analyzing raw data to find trends and answer questions. So the first stage in data analysis is to collect data. After collecting data, you transform or you clean and transform the data. And then you organize that data to draw conclusions. All right, so this is what data analytics is all about. Let's use Netflix for example. I know like we all know what Netflix is for. So Netflix is a streaming platform that allows you to stream movies and TV shows. So movies and TV shows. So Netflix, why is it that Netflix know what to recommend to their users? So let's assume that I'm always streaming movies in the action or thriller category. When next I sign in or log into my Netflix application, Netflix is going to recommend movies or TV shows in that category. So they are studying or they've been studying my pattern or my streaming pattern to recommend movies that I would like. So this is all part of data analytics. So that's just an example out of many. So they're able to recommend, to predict that, okay, this girl is going to like this particular TV show. This girl is going to like this particular movie based on what I've been watching. So we can relate this to data analytics. So it is the collection, transformation, and organization of data to draw conclusions. And not just to draw conclusions, to make predictions and drive informed decision making. All right, so we have diagnostic analysis. So we have different types of analytics. We have analytics, we have descriptive analytics, we have diagnostic analysis. So the descriptive analysis is you basically describing your data. So let's say, now let us use this Zoom call as a data. I don't know how many men, I don't know how many women we have here on this call, but through data analysis, I'll be able to know that, okay, we have 10 men, we have 5 women in this call. That is me just describing the data. Then for diagnostic analytics, why is it that we have more men here in this masterclass? So diagnostic is the why. Descriptive is you just describing your data, but diagnostic is the why do we have this? Why do we have that? You are trying to diagnose the problem. It's just like you have malaria or you think you have malaria, right? It's until you go for a medical test, that's when you'll be able to tell, okay, do I have malaria or not? From the medical test, the specialist will be able to see from the test, okay, this person, I don't know what, okay, so this person has this and this, so that means this person has malaria. Or for some people, it's headache, or it's migraine, or it's cold. So this is all diagnostic analytics. Like I said, we have descriptive, we have diagnostic. So who is a data analyst? We all know that, now we know that data analytics is you collecting data, transforming that data, and organizing the data to draw insights, to enable informed decision making. So a data analyst is a professional who collects, processes, and performs statistical analysis on large data sets to derive insights and inform decision making. So you doing the job, you're a data analyst. That is what it means. So what are the responsibilities of a data analyst? Please, I hope I'm not too fast. I hope I'm not too fast. If I'm too fast, please make sure that you draw me back.
No, you are not.
All right, thank you. So what are the responsibilities of a data analyst? Let's find out. So 1, to dig data from primary and secondary sources. As a data analyst, your data is not only stored in Microsoft Excel. Your data set can be stored, or your data can be stored in the cloud, that is online. It can be stored in a data warehouse. It can be stored in a database. Companies like Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, they make use of databases or let's say data warehouses, because Excel An Excel workbook alone cannot contain all their user information. They have millions of users. An Excel alone cannot contain all their information. So they make use of different sources. So as a data analyst, one of your responsibility is to collect data. Another responsibility of data analysts is to clean data and discard irrelevant information. So there are times when you get data, your data set can come in dirty. Dirty data sets are data sets that are unstructured. Let's say in a particular column, you're seeing missing values, or maybe where there is supposed to be dates, you are seeing name. So imagine I have a column, a name column. Let's say a customer name column. I have Sandra, I have Josiah, I have Goodness, and then I'm seeing January 1st. I'm seeing cats. That means that particular data set, the way it was collected, there is debt that needs to be cleaned. So you have to clean that particular column so that you have just names alone. As a data analyst, you perform data analysis and interpret results using standard statistical methodologies. So I know that some people will be like, oh, I don't know mathematics, I don't know statistics. But as a data analyst and as a beginner, what you need to start with is just the basic statistical methodologies. Things like mean. So mean is average. Mean is equal to average. I can say average price, average age. So this is mean. Then we have maximum, the maximum price, minimum price. So all these basic statistical methodologies, these are what will assist the data analyst to interpret or to analyze and interpret results. And thank God that we're also going to use Chatgpt. We're also going to leverage Chatgpt in this master's class. So as a data analyst, you highlight changing trends, correlations, and patterns in, sorry. I'm sorry. All right, so as a data analyst, you have a duty to highlight changing trends, correlations, and patterns in complicated data sets. So let's say you have a data set, or let's say you have a data set for a sales data set that is talking about sales, the records of sales for a particular company. And you have the quantity, you have the sales. So let's analyze a pattern now. So let's say, is it that the higher the quantity, the higher the sales, or the quantity in no way impacts the sales? So these are correlation. This is just the basic, one out of many patterns that you can find. So that is why I said, as a data analyst, you are not just doing descriptive, you are going in depth to be able to bring out insights, to be able to bring out patterns and correlations in your data set. So as a data analyst, you strategize process improvements. So you can also recommend strategies on how to improve processes from your insights. So you can also ensure clear, as a data analyst, you ensure clear data visualizations for management. You don't just put in any data visualization on or any visual. You have to ensure that your visualizations are clear so that your audience who you are showing these visualizations to can understand. So the emphasis on the clear. You are not just designing. I don't know if some of you, or we have all seen some dashboards or visualizations online. Some of them are confusing, while some are good. So you have to make sure that as a data analyst, you are bringing out clear data visualization and not confusing visualization. You can do a beautiful thing and it can be beautiful nonsense because it won't be used. All right. So as a data analyst, you have a duty to design, create, and maintain relevant and useful databases and data systems. So you can, as a data analyst, you have to know how to create a database, how to maintain that database. Like I said, big companies, they make use of databases. So we have small, medium enterprises, we have large scale enterprises. When we go to large scale enterprises, they make use, most of them make use if not all, make use of databases. But small, medium enterprises, some of them make use of databases while some of them don't. But this world, we are going to a point where all our data are now being stored in databases. So you need to know how to design a database, create a database, and maintain relevant and useful databases and data systems. All right, so as a data analyst, you have a responsibility to prioritize tasks and solve code problems and other related issues. So you have to prioritize your task and solve code problems. So as data analyst, you can encounter code problems, and it's your duty, not the duty of another person in your company. It is your duty to solve those particular problems. So you identify trends and make forecasts. You create data, dashboards, graphs, and visualizations, and emphasis on the clear data visualizations. You produce and track key performance indicators. So key performance indicators, these are part of the metrics that your organization would want to see. So for each industry, they have their own key performance indicators. For each industry, they have their own key performance indicators. All right. Okay. All right, so let's get into the business of the day. I'll come back to this. How you can become a certified data analyst. So I'll come back to this. So is there any question before we move on? Any question?
No
Is there
question
any,
for me.
do you have a question? Okay.
Nah.
All right. So I guess we are all following. And please, like I said again, if I'm too fast, please call me back, because in my head I'm talking fast. So please, if I'm fast, just make sure you call me back. So we have a problem. Sorry. Okay. So we have a dashboard, or we have a report that we're about to create. It's called a project management dashboard. How many of us know what project management is about? Project management. Does anybody knows what project management is about? So if you have an answer, please leave it in the chat, leave it in the chat, leave it in the chat. If you know what project management is about, please leave it in the chat. Okay. All right. So we are going to use Chatgpt to answer most of our questions today. All right. So we're going to use Chatgpt to answer most of our questions today. So we have a project management dashboard task at hand. So let's assume, right? Let's assume that we don't even know what project management is. Let's assume that we don't know what it means. All right, so we have this is the case study. So the IT system of the UK government has recently been upgraded, and they now have improved data at its fingertips. So this particular government, or this particular sector, they were not utilizing their data, but now they've started utilizing their data. So they would like to understand the benefits that data mining would bring to their spending and project administration. So data mining is all about getting data from different sources, collection of data. That is what data mining is all about. Like much of the data that other organizations store in their data warehouses, interest in this historically lies in trying to discover patterns within it. So they have this data, they want to understand what is actually going on in this data, and they've employed you as the data analyst. So the updated systems retain records of projects, budgets, progress, actual spent costs, business cases, contract requirements, and suppliers. So now this is your task. You are given a task to produce a suitable performance and business intelligence report using the data set provided. This should provide insight for the UK government and senior civil servants and allow them to shape their activities going forward to better serve their citizens. Now, they did not even give a data dictionary that, okay, this is the meaning of project management. They did not give that. So this is the data set here in my Excel. This is the data set here in my Excel. So now this is what we were given. No explanation, just the task. So they expect you as the data analyst, because you say you have the skill, they expect you to understand this as a data analyst and bring out useful information. So we have this particular data set: project ID, project name, central government department, responsible government body, the program, the start date of the project, OGC review stage. So let's assume that we don't know what all this is talking about. So we have status at last review, the project manager handling the project, the total project budget approved, the funding for the fiscal year, which is 2010/11, the budget allocated until the fiscal year, the actual spend. So let's assume we don't know what all this entails. First of all, what is project management? What is project management? All right, so I'm going to type in that in Chatgpt. What is project management? All right, so project management is the practice of applying knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. It involves planning, executing, monitoring, and closing work to achieve specific goals and meet specific success criteria within a specified time frame. So a project manager, what the project manager does is manage project activities. A particular project can be to design an application, maybe a game application. So from when the application starts or the building starts to when it ends, it's a project. So there are different processes from when it starts to when it ends. So the project itself is to create an application. So the processes involved to create an application, it is all inside this particular project. So it involves planning, executing, monitoring, and closing work to achieve specific goals. The specific goals here is to create an application. All right. So do we all get what project management is now? You have a project, you are managing it from the start phase to the end phase. That is what project management is all about. Is that understood? Is that understood? If it's understood, please say yes in the chat.
Yes, it's understood.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right, so we have this. What we have now is the column, or is the data, and the task. We have the case study, we have the task, and then we have the data. So I'm going to come here to ChatGPT. I want to create a report, but I don't know where to start from because I don't even understand the data set. So using ChatGPT, we are going to define each of these columns, because whenever you want to start creating a dashboard or a report, it is very important that you understand your data set. It is very important to understand your data set, not just the data set. Okay, now, so this data set is a project management data set. We know what project management is. This project ID is self-explanatory, right? It is the ID for each project. So this first project name is NHS Mail. And the ID for NHS Mail is P144. So NHS Mail is a particular project. Then we have P116. And the name is Provider Referrals and Payments, PRAP. So we need to understand what each of this column. We have central government departments. I don't understand what that means. Then we have responsible government body. We have program. We have start date. We have OGC review stage. I still don't understand what OGC review stage means. We have status at last review. We have project manager, and we have all these other columns. So how do we leverage ChatGPT to understand these columns? Like I said, the first thing is to understand your data set. So I'm going to copy the headers. So I'm just going to Control Shift and copy just the headers of my table. Then go to ChatGPT. Then I'm going to write a prompt that says, define these columns. And then I'm going to paste the columns. So I'm just going to separate each of these columns by comma so that ChatGPT knows that they are all different columns, because if I should just send this like that, it might think that they all mean the same thing. All right, so I'm going to separate each of these columns by a comma. We have start date, comma, OGC review stage, comma, status at last review, comma, we have the project manager, comma, we have the total project budget approved. So this is actually in pounds. Then we have the funding for the fiscal year, comma, we have the budget allocated until the fiscal year. So we need to understand what all these columns represent. And then we have the actual spending, or actual spend to the fiscal year. So I'm going to send. So when people say that, oh, AI is going to take my job, or AI is going to take your work as a data analyst, no, AI needs you to give it the right prompt to be able to help you work more efficiently as a data analyst. So AI cannot operate itself. It also needs you. It still needs you. All right, so now these are the data definition. So let's get started. So project ID is a unique identifier assigned to the project for tracking and reference purposes. So it's an ID attached to a project or to a particular project. Then we have the project name, which is the official title or name of the project. We have the central government department, the main government department overseeing or responsible for the project. So we have Department of Health, maybe Department of Transport, department of this and that, all in the government. Then we have responsible government body, the specific agency, division, or organization within the central government department responsible for the project execution and management. So under each of these central government departments, there are other responsible government bodies. So we're also going to find out that when we start building our report. Then we have the program, the larger program or initiative to which the project belongs, often encompassing multiple related projects aimed at achieving a common goal. So I'm just going to go back to the data set. Control D. All right. So we have program. I'm going to filter only for NHS program. So let me select only the NHS. All right. So we have 16 projects under the NHS. NHS is the program itself. And it's under the Department of Health. Now, the responsible government bodies, we can see that we have 3 responsible, okay, not just 3. We have 4 responsible government bodies. The General Department of Health, then we have the Department of Health Informatics Directorate, we have the National Patient Safety Agency, NHS Information Center. So all these are for the different projects. So there are special government bodies that are overseeing some particular projects. So that is what this means. So while they are all in the NHS program, they all belong to different government bodies in the central government department. So that is what it means. So I'm going to cancel this filter. All right. Then we have the start date, the date when the project officially begun, which is self-explanatory. Then we have the OGC review stage. So the stage of the project as assessed by the Office of Government. So Office of Government Commerce means OGC. Office of Government Commerce means OGC. So the OGC review process, this could involve various phases such as initiation, planning, execution, and closure. So we're going to see the various OGC review stage that we have. Now we have status at last review, the current status or condition of the project as determined during the most recent review. This could include assessments like on track, at risk, or delayed. So let us check what we have here in our status at last review. So I can see amber, green, red. So what does this mean when a status is amber, green, and red? So we can also use Chatgpt to find out more about that. So we have project manager. We're going to come back to this status at last review. So we have project manager, the individual responsible for planning, executing, and closing the project, ensuring it meets its objectives and stays within scope, time, and budget constraints. So project manager is the one that manages a project. So we have total project budget approved in pounds, thousands, or in £1,000. So the total amount of money in thousands of pounds approved for the project from its inception to completion. That is how much the government approved. Then we have the funding for 2010/11. The amount of money in thousands of pounds allocated for the project fiscal year 2010/11. So this is the money for that particular year, 2010/11. While the total project is from its inception. So maybe the project started in 2003. So from that 2003 till whenever the total amount of, or the total budget approved from 2003 till when it is completed is the total project budget. While the funding for 2010/11 is the funding for that particular fiscal year, 2010/11. So we have the budget allocated until 2010/11. So this is the total budget in thousands of pounds allocated to the project up to and including the fiscal year. So from its inception to the fiscal year, that is the budget allocated until 2010/11, from when it started to the current year. The total project budget is from when it started to the completion. All right. Then we have the actual spend. The actual amount of money in thousands of pounds spent on the project up to the fiscal year. So while this is the budget allocated, this is the amount actually spent. So if they allocated 1 million and what was spent was 500,000, that means we have 500,000 remaining. So that's what it means. So let's come back to this status at last review. So please, like I said, if I'm too fast, please call me back. So what does the colors, because you'd wonder, what does green mean? I know green means positive, but what does amber mean? What does red mean in project management? So you don't just ask what does red and green, or what does green, red, and amber mean? You ask what does green, red, and amber colors represent in project management? So what does the colors red, let me start with green, comma, amber, and red represent in project management? So are you getting it? We have to put in the right prompts in order to get good and quality results. If I just put in what does the color green, amber, red mean, it might not give me exactly what I'm looking for, but I tailored it down to project management, because what green means or what red means in project management can be different from what red means in the healthcare. So you have to give it specific prompts in order for it to give you your desired results. So what does the colors green, amber, and red represent in project management? So if I send this, all right. Okay. So from here, we have that green means that the project is on track. So all aspects of the project, such as scope, schedule, budget, and quality, are progressing as planned. No significant issues or risks have been identified that could impede the project's success. So that means it's on track or it's completed, right? Then we have amber. Amber means that the project is at risk. So there are high issues or risks. There are issues or risks that could potentially impact the project scope. So that means it's a warning sign that you have to treat this particular issue or check this particular project, check what is happening in this particular project, see how far this project has gone. So it's like a warning sign. Then we have red, meaning the project is in trouble. So that is, if you miss this amber sign, the project is definitely going to turn red, or the status of the project is definitely going to turn red, which means that there are significant issues or risks that have been identified that are affecting or have the potential to critically impact the project scope, schedule, budget, or quality. So while green means that the project is in progress or completed, amber means that there are issues that need to be treated. Red means that these issues have escalated and now the project is in trouble. So do we all get that? Do we all get that? Am I too fast? If I'm too fast, again, like I said, please call me back.
Yes, I get it.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay, so now we've gotten a little glimpse of our data. We've tried to understand it a little. So now, what possible insights can we generate? What possible insights can we generate? Let's go back to the task. So the task is to produce a suitable performance and business intelligence report using the data set provided. We have already seen the data set. This should provide insights for the UK government and senior civil servants and allow them to shape their activities going forward to better serve their citizens. So they've given us an audience. Our audience are or is the UK government or are the UK government and senior civil servants. So this is our audience, or this is our audience. The UK government and senior civil servants. So whenever you are building a report, you need to know your audience. When you know your audience, you'll be able to tailor your report to your audience needs. For the government and senior civil servants now, what they would want to see are things like, okay, how many projects is this central government body handling? How many of these projects are complete? How many of them are at risk? How much have we spent so far? A summary. So it doesn't necessarily have to cover everything in our data sets. So they might want to compare the actual spend to the fiscal year and the budget allocated. Is it that there is an overrun? Overrun means that your actual spend is more than the budget. That is what overrun means. Then underrun or underspend means that your actual spend is lesser than your budget, which is not a bad thing. But when your actual spend is greater than your budget, then it's a bad thing. Okay, so we need to create a report to enable them make good decisions with regards to their budgets and all. All right. So how do we leverage Chatgpt to build Excel reports? How do we leverage Chatgpt or Chatgpt prompt to build Excel reports? The first thing we did here was to define the data because we're not giving a data dictionary. We're not giving a data dictionary. So the first thing we did here was to define the data and to understand some of the values in our data, like the status at last review. We try to understand what the colors meant. Because in the data, we're not giving, oh, this project is on track. This project has issues. There are risks. We were not giving. We were not giving. So let me check this status at last review. We have blanks here. What do these blanks mean? So what do these blanks mean? I'm going to check for blanks and see what it means. Okay. Okay. All right. So we have blanks here. And then when you check the start date, we can see that we have TBC. What does TBC stand for? I don't know. So I'm going to check or ask ChatGPT what the term TBC means in the start date of my data. All right, so that we know what to analyze further. So what does TBC mean in the start date column of my data? All right, so in the context of your data, TBC in the start date column stands for to be confirmed. This indicates that the specific start date for the project has not yet been finalized or announced. It is a placeholder showing that the information will be provided at a later date once it is determined. So that means this project has not started. These projects have not started. That is what TBC means. To be confirmed, we don't have a start date yet. They've not started. They don't have review stage, and also they don't have any status. So they've not started. So I'll cancel this filter. All right. So now I want ChatGPT to give me a list of possible insights that I can derive from this data. So what I'm going to do is that we need a right prompt. We need to feed it the right prompt for it to be able to help us to build our reports. So we've been feeding it prompts by giving it our data columns to understand. We gave it our data columns to understand and other things for it to understand. So now from our data columns, we are going to tell it or instruct it to create an Excel report for the UK government and the senior civil servants. Like I said, you need to focus on your audience. So these are our audience. I'm just going to copy this. UK government and senior civil servants. All right, so I'm going to give it a prompt that from the above or from the earlier column definition, comma, create a simple report for the UK government and senior civil servants. So create a simple Excel report. So let's see what this gives us. Okay. All right. So you see why prompts, giving it the right prompt is important, because sometimes you tell ChatGPT to do A, ChatGPT will do B. So we still need to fine tune this particular report or this particular prompt. All right, so this is not what we want. This is not what I want. Okay. Nah, this is not what I want. No. So we still need to fine tune this particular prompt. Okay. So from the earlier column definition, create a simple Excel report and senior, okay, create a simple Excel report for the UK and senior civil servants to make informed decision making. All right. Okay, so this is not still working. We are going to try something else. All right, so from the earlier column definition, create a list of insights create a list of insights. All right. All right, so this is not giving me what I want. This is not giving me what I want. I need to fine tune it. So from the earlier column definition, create an analysis in Excel for the UK government and senior civil servants to make informed decisions. So from the earlier column definition, create an analysis in Excel for the UK government and senior civil servants to make informed decisions. So let's see what this gives us. All right. Yeah. Okay. So you see, all right. Okay, so we have some insights here. So that's giving us step by step how to create this. So the first one is to structure the data. We already have our data in our Excel. So we've passed this stage. And we've also passed the second stage, which is to populate the data. We already have the data. So we're told to use conditional formatting on the status at last review. So use conditional formatting to apply green, amber, and red colors based on the text. So we're going to do this later. So that is, okay. So what this wants us to do is that instead of green, we should have something like on track, because nobody understands what green means. So it is easier to understand when you use on track. So we can have something like on track. Then instead of amber, we can have something like at risk. Then instead of red, we can have issue. So instead of in trouble, let's use issue. So I'm going to go back to Excel, and then I'm going to enter a new column. So I'll call this status. All right. So now using my if function, instead of green, I want to get on track. Instead of amber, I want to get at risk. And instead of red, I want it to be issue. All right. So I'm going to use the if or ifs. Let's use ifs. So if the status is equal to green, comma, let it be on track, comma. And if the status is equal to amber, comma, let it be at risk. Then finally, if the status is equal to red, let it be issue. So I'll close this. All right, so now instead of green and red, we have something more understandable. That okay, this particular status is at risk. This one has issues. This one is on track. So we are getting somewhere. Then we're told to create pivot tables to get the budget summary by department. So for each department, we're told to get the total budget approved, the funding for the fiscal year, the budget allocated until the fiscal year, and the actual spend to that fiscal year. Okay, so we're going to use a pivot table for this. So this is budget summary by department. Budget summary by department. All right, so I'm going to insert a pivot table. So my table, I've given it a name, projects. All right, so it's equal. Okay, so I'm going to insert a pivot table here. Then my table range is my project table. Okay. Okay. So I want to get the budget summary by department. So I'm going to put the department. All right, so the central government department, I'm going to put it into the rows. All right, so we have cabinet, office. We have about 14 departments in total. All right, then the next thing is to put in the total project. So you see, we're already given what to do. That's okay. Create this particular report, budget summary by department. Let your rows have the central government department, which is what we've done here. So I've dragged and dropped the central government department into the rows. Then the values, we're told to put in the total project budget approved, the funding, the budget allocated, and the actual spending. So let's do that. So total project budget approved. That's the first thing in the values. Then next is the funding. Okay, so next is the funding for the fiscal year. Then we have the budget allocated and also the actual spend to the fiscal year. So I'm just going to rename all these. Instead of sum of total project budget, let's leave it like this. All right, so now we have a summary for the different departments. So budget allocated, the actual spend. Actual spend. So the reason I'm renaming all these things is so that we can have a clean work. So I'm going to adjust the width of these columns. All right, I'll adjust the width of these columns. All right, so now we have a detailed summary. So I'm just going to name these row labels as central government departments. All right. So for each government department, we have the project budget approved, we have the funding, we have the budget allocated until the fiscal year, Then we have the actual spend. So from here, these government bodies are able to track their activities, to track the money spent, to track the funding, to track the budgets. All right. So let us proceed. Then we have projects. Project counts by status. So how many projects are complete? How many projects are on track? How many projects have issues? How many projects are at risk? So we're going to create another pivot table. So Control C, I'll just paste this here. Okay, so we have number 1, right? So I'll just paste it under here. So project count by status. So I'm going to insert another pivot table and put in my range. Okay. All right, so you can see we have already been given what to put in the rows and what to put in the values. All right, so we want to get the number of projects for each status. So what is going to be in our rows is going to be the status. All right, then the values is going to be the count of the projects. So I'm going to put in the status into the rows and the project ID into the values. So here we are getting insights. Little by little, we are getting insights. So we can see that we have there are 35 projects that are on track. All right, so we're not going to use this particular amber, green, and red. We're going to use the new status column that we created. So not this one. So the new status column I created. So yeah, so we have 17 at risk. We have 17 with issues. We have 35 on track. All right. So from here, I can create a chart. So first of all, let me rename these row labels. I'll rename it as status. Then count of project ID, I'll rename it as projects, or number of projects. Okay. So from here, I can create a pie chart or a donut chart. So I'll go to, under my pivot table, analyze, I have pivot charts. Yes, I'll just click on it. And I want a pie chart. All right, so I'll come here to donuts. Okay, so you can see this is making more sense. All right, so I'm just going to hide all these buttons on the chart. And then I'll change the title from total to projects by status. All right. And then I'm going to move my legends from the side to the top. So we have NA. This NA means that this project, so we have 10 projects that are showing NA. NA means not applicable. And that means this project, they've not started. So I'm just going to turn it off here. All right, so we have this. I'm just going to expand a little. All right. So let's move on. Okay, so now we have spending analysis. We have spending analysis. So spending analysis by the government now. So in the rows, okay, so we've done this before. We've done this before. All right. So we can create another pivot table to tell us the total projects that we have, the total number of projects that we have. So let's call this the project report summary. All right. So I'm going to insert a pivot table from my projects table. Okay. Then in the values, I want to count the number of projects we have. So you can see we have 79 projects in total. 79 projects in total. I also want to see the number of central government departments that we have. So I'm also going to put this in the values. Okay, so I'm sorry. So let me remove this. So do that, I'm going to use a function. So here, let me change this to number of projects. Number of projects. The number of central government bodies. All right. I also want to see the total number of responsible government bodies. Oh, sorry, the total number of programs that we have. I also want to see that. The total number of programs. Number of programs. I also want to see let's see. I also want to see the total project budget approved. All of this, I want to see them. Okay, so let's do it little by little. So I want to see this. All right, so I'm just going to paste them here. All right. So the number of central government bodies that we have is equal to, I'm going to count what I have here in my pivot table. Okay, so I'm going to use the count R function. So we have 14 central government bodies. Then for the number of programs, we have to create a pivot table so we can count the number of programs. So I'm going to create a pivot table here. And put in the programs here so that we have unique programs, all right? So that we have the unique list of programs here. So I'll call these programs. So I can also put in the project in the values so we know how many projects are in a particular program. So I'll rename this as number of projects. All right, so we have some programs that have one project, some have 9, NHS has 16, transport has 8, and so on and so forth. So the number of programs is going to be equal to count R so I'm going to select all of this except the grand total. So we have 22 programs in all, 22 programs in all. Then the total project budget approved is going to be equal to sum All right, so I can just reference it here. The total project budget approved, I can say it's equal to what I have here under the total project budget. And okay, then the funding is equal to this. So you're going to see the reason why I am doing this very soon. So the budget is equal to this under the budget column. This is the grand total. Then the actual spend is equal to this. All right. Okay. All right. So we have 79 projects, 14 central government bodies, 22 programs, and these are the values for the budget and spending. So I'm going to change this to pounds. All right. Okay. So this makes more sense. All right. So now we want to know how many percent of projects are on track. We already have that. Sorry, we already have that 35 are on track. So how many percent? The total is 79. We have 79 projects in total. So how many percent is 35 in 79? So I'm going to create a new column here and I'll say percent complete. So, and this is equal to the number of projects that are on track divided by the total number of projects. So we have 0.44. If I change this to percentage, I'll have 44%. So we have 44% of projects that are on track. Okay. All right. So now let's create a very, very, very simple report. A very simple report. All right. A very simple report. But first, okay, just hold on. So, but first, let's go back to our Chatgpt. So here, Chatgpt has already given us list of charts that we can create. So we have a bar chart for budget summary. We have a pie chart for status, which I've already done. We have a line chart for spending analysis over time. So we have for spending analysis over time. All right. Okay. And we're told to add slicers. All right. We're told to add slicers to allow users to filter dynamically. So add slicers for central government departments, responsible government body, and OGC review stage. So we're not done yet. We still have the OGC review stage to cover. So how many projects are in the different OGC review stages? So please, are we still here? Are we still here? If you are still here, please say yes. Say yes.
Yes.
And I hope it's not too much. I know that it is quite complicated.
Yes, we are
Right?
here.
I know that it's quite complicated right now, but trust me, with time, you're going to understand it. With time, you're going to see all that you can do with Microsoft Excel. This is just the basic. This is just the basic. And this is just us using ChatGPT to answer all these, necessary questions. All right. So the next thing that I want to do is projects by OGC review stage. I want to know how many projects are in the different OGC review stage. So I'll say projects by OGC review stage. Okay. So I'm going to insert another pivot table. And my table range is projects. Okay, so I'm going to look for the OGC review stage and put it into the rows. And then the values is going to be my project ID because I want to count the number of projects. So now you see, sorry, before I go on to explanation, I'm going to change this row labels to OGC review stage, and then the count of project ID to number of projects. All right. So now I don't really know which one is the highest until I use a bar chart. If I use a bar chart, I will easily and quickly know which one is the highest. So I'm going to select this pivot table and put in a pivot chart. So I'll use this one. Okay. And then remove the fields. Remove this total. Expand. Aha, so now it's okay. So expand it. Let me bring it here and just reduce the height a bit. So I'm going to change this total to projects by OGC review stage. Okay, and then I'm going to take out the axis. I'll take out the axis. Let me just turn it off. Okay, no, not the axis. I'll take out the y-axis. And then I'm going to put in data labels so that it's easy for us to, know the numbers for each. So now this is not sorted. So we need to sort this. To sort, I'm going to come here to more sort options, and I will sort it from descending to ascending using the number of projects so that we have this. So now we know which review stage has the highest number of projects. That is gateway 0. We also have blank. So I'm going to turn off the blank because we don't know what that blank represents. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so after the gateway 0, we have gateway 3, and each gateway has their name. So gateway 0 means strategic assessment. So all these are parts of project management or part of the review stage. So there is strategic assessment, there is investment decisions, there is operations review, there's delivery strategy. So we have up to, I think we have up to 5. Yeah, we have up to 5 gateways, gateway 1 to gateway 5. Okay, so let me see. So I still need to turn off one. There's a blank here that I need to turn off. All right. So we have this. We have 2 charts already. So from this, we are going to build a simple, like I said, a simple report. So I'm going to create a new worksheet and I'll call this report. This alone is okay, right? But we need to present it in a good way, in a way that people would enjoy to even look at it. So we need to present it in a ordered way or organized way, rather, in an organized way. Okay, so the first thing that I want my audience to see is a summary. So I want them to see the summary. Also, I want to compare, sorry, there's something I forgot to do. I want to compare the budget allocated until our fiscal year and the actual spend. So you can see that the actual spend to the fiscal year is higher than the budget allocated. So that is something that they really need to look at. All right, so the actual spend is higher than the budget allocated. Okay, so I'm going to create a chart from this. I'll go to insert and I'm going to use a column chart. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to use this chart. Okay, let me bring it down here. All right, so I'll just turn off the as-is. Okay, so I think this is not the right chart that I'm supposed to use. All right, so let me change the chart type. Okay, okay. All right. I think I get the issue now. Okay. So I'm going to remove the x-axis and then put on the data label. So we're actually seeing the values. Okay. And then this chart title, I'll call it actual spend versus budgets allocated until 2010/11. All right. So this is okay. And then I'm just going to bring this a little bit. Yeah, all right. And decrease a little. Okay, so what we can do now is that we can copy these charts and put them in our report page. Okay, so I'm going to first of all copy the projects by status. So I'll copy this and I'll put it, let me put it somewhere here. Control V. Okay. And then I'm going to copy projects by OGC review stage. So let me put it down here. Remember, this is just for the government bodies, okay? So I'm going to copy our last chart, Control C, and I'll put it somewhere here. All right, so that we have this. So I want to make sure they are all aligned. All right, so I'm just going to drag this so that it's on the same. Let me zoom out. Okay. So we have this. All right, we have this. Okay, so like I said, I want them to see a summary of all of this, a summary of the number of projects that we have, the number of central government de departments, the number of programs, and all of these funding and everything. So I want my audience to be able to see all of this. So to do that, I'm going to add a text box. So I'm just going to align all of this a little. All right, I'm going to align them a little. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put in a text box. A text box. Okay. So I'm going to put it somewhere here. Now in my text box, I'll say equal to. So I want to get the total number of projects that we have. So equal to, I'll just, oh, sorry. Okay, so equal to, I'll come here and select Sorry. Okay. So equal to, all right, equal to, I'll come here and then I'll select this, then press enter. Okay, sorry, just hold on. All right, so, okay, so, all right, so equal to, I'm just going to get rid of this and this. Okay. All right. So I made a mistake here. Okay, so my cell is in, the number is in cell 35. All right, so instead of cell 34 is cell 35, and that is 79. You can see it here. So the number of projects is 79. I'm just going to increase this. Let's say 28. Okay, 28 is too big. So let's say 20. And then from here, I can type in here, well, first of all, reducing the size. I can say number of projects. All right. Okay. So another thing I can do here is, align this to the center. All right. So I'm going to copy and paste this and do the same for others. So yeah, instead of 35 now, we are moving on to the next column, which is in B35, number of central government bodies. So I'll change this A to B, then 35. Okay, then change it to 20. All right. And I'll call this central government department, not bodies. That was a mistake. So central government department. Okay. So I can repeat the same thing, Control C and V. All right. So the next one is number of programs. We have 22 programs, and this is in C, this is in C35, right? Column C, row 35. So I'll change this from A to C, 35. Then change the font size. So this is responsible government body. All right. So let's see what else we can bring in here. So let us also bring the percentage complete. How many percent of projects are completed? So we have 44% here. And this is in column H, so H35. So back to the reports. Okay. So I'll change this A to H. So H35, we have 44%. $20. Then I'll call this projects, then in brackets, that are on track. All right, so I'm just going to space all of this so that they are aligned with other visuals in this report. Okay. All right. So now we are not done here. We are not done here. How can we make this interactive so that our audience will be able to filter by either the programs or the central government department? So I'm going to add slicers. All right, I'm going to add slicers. So let me use this bar chart. I'll go to pivot table, analyze. I'll go to pivot table, analyze, and then I will insert a slicer. So the slicer that I want to bring in is the central government department, the responsible government body, and the program. Okay, so I'm also going to bring in the status. Okay. So I'm going to move all of this up. So I'll move all of this up. Okay, and then I'll start arranging them. All right. So I'm just going to reduce all of this. So sorry, guys, we're almost done. We're almost done. All right. So I'm just going to reduce this. Reduce the height so that they fit into one particular section. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now we have everything in the same place. All right. So there's something that I want to do. I want to be able to differentiate between the actual and the budget allocated. So I'm going to click on the bar and then I'm going to format. So I'll change the fill from blue to something else. So let's say, let's use this, let's use green. Then I'll change this also to another color. So let's use this. So I can also change our on track. So on track is supposed to be green. So I'll change the slice from blue to green. Then issue to red. So I'll give it red. Okay, sorry. I think I've made a mistake. Okay, so on track here is ash color or gray color. So I'll change it to green. All right. Then the issue is red. Then at risk is going to be amber color. All right. So this is very easy for us to now differentiate which one is on track, which one has issues, and which one is at risk. So I'm going to give these columns a uniform color. Let's give them, okay, so this is okay. All right. So now what happens when I select any of these slicers? You can see that it is affecting only the project by OGC review. So we need it to affect other visuals on our reports. So I'm going to select all of the slicers. So one by one, I'll select them. Then I'll go to report connection. So I want this slicer to affect all the pivot tables in this report. Okay. So when I click on the cabinet office, you can see it's affecting not just the projects by OGC review stage alone, but also the pie charts and also other things in our reports. So you can see whenever I click on any of the government bodies, I'm able to see the number of projects that the government bodies are handling, or the number of projects under the central government department. So for Department of the Department of International Development, we have 2 projects, 2 governments, 2 central government departments. Okay. We have 2 responsible government body. All right, so whenever I select any of these slicers, it will affect our visuals. Okay. So let me unselect the same thing with the program. Whenever I select the business, it's only going to affect the OGC review stage. So it's until I link this slicer with all of my visuals in my report before it's going to affect them. So I'm going to link all slicers to all visuals. Okay, so the next one is the program slicer. I'll link it to all the visuals. Okay, then the status slicer, I'll link it to all the visuals, all the pivot tables. All right, so if I click on at risk, all right, so if I click on track, I'm able to see the number of projects on track. If I click on issue, I'm able to see the number of projects that have issues. All right. So that is how the slicers, or that is how you can use slicers in your report. Like I said, this is just a simple, basic report. You can do so much more in Microsoft Excel. All right, so are we still here? Any questions?
I'm here. A lot of questions. I kind of lost, but I think when I get the recording, I'll be able to understand more. I hope you send the recording.
Yes, the recording will be sent. So again, I purposely did not use sales data for this masterclass because that is what is commonly used. I purposely did not use that because I wanted to show you guys that it's not just sales data that you'll be working with. So it depends on the industry. So you need to have an idea of different sectors and how to apply your analytical skills in the analysis. All right, so we're able to do this with the help of Chatgpt. Now, mind you, even if you're going to use Chatgpt, please, you have to give it the right prompt. You saw what happened when I was trying to give it prompts, and I think I had to insert like 3 times before I was able to get the right one. So you have to give it the right prompt in order for it to serve you right. Okay, so any questions apart from previous speaker? I think that was goodness.
Can you go to the chat group? There are a couple of questions I asked there. I don't know if you can go there. Check.
Okay, sorry. Let me see. Oh wow, I wasn't even checking the chats. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, so why is project on track showing ref? All right, so it's because of the calculation, actually. It's because of the calculation. You know, this particular one. All right, so the calculation was that, sorry, I'm just trying to come back here. Okay. So the calculation was that we wanted to get the percentage of products of projects that are complete. So, and it was, to get that calculation, you have to do the number of projects that are on track or completed divided by the total number of projects that we have. So when I clicked on issue, you are going to see ref. So ref, you can equate this to 0. That means there is nothing there. Nothing is completed in issue, because if it is completed, then you're going to see a figure. So let me click on business. Okay, let me go down to. All right, so you can see that some projects, they are 100% complete. All right. Some projects or some programs have projects that are 50% complete. So anywhere there's ref, it simply means that it's 0. So you can actually do a lot more. All right. So that ref can be changed to 0, so that the audience know that, okay, ref means 0. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to move back to the slide. I'm going to move back to the slide. Okay. So back to where we stopped. All right, so back to where we stopped. How do you become a data analyst? So at AMDA Analytics, we train you in 4 months to become a certified data analyst. All right. And you are going to learn different things from the 5 why techniques, SWOT analysis. You are going to do Microsoft Excel. So actually the foundation is Microsoft Excel. All right, the foundation is Microsoft Excel. From Microsoft Excel, we'll move on to Power BI. Then we're going to move on to SQL. So SQL is for databases. It's you communicating with your database, you interacting with your database to be able to get insights, to be able to get results. Okay, so you can use Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Power BI, Microsoft SQL Server. You can use these 3 tools for data analysis, but they are all unique. They all have their own distinct features that make them stand out, right? So SQL is mainly for databases, you interacting with your database. You don't use SQL to visualize, but you can use your Microsoft Excel, your Microsoft Power BI to visualize. The Microsoft Power BI is like an advanced Microsoft Excel. It's like an advanced Microsoft Excel. And then after learning these tools, you're also going to learn how to use Chatgpt, or how to leverage Chatgpt for data analytics, like what we just did. So you can use Chatgpt to understand your data better. You can use Chatgpt to list out possible insights that you can get from your data set. All right, so there are different benefits of joining the class, because you also get LinkedIn optimization. There are so many people that are good, but they don't have optimized LinkedIn. So how will recruiters find you, or how will you find recruiters? So you need to have optimized LinkedIn. You need to stand out from the crowd. And we also have Upwork optimization, where you can freelance. All right, so you can use Upwork to freelance. And we have CV review, recommendation, reference letter, and certification. So you're also going to get certified. So in these 3 months, so actually the data analytics is 4 months, 3 months for live classes, then 1 month for capstone project. So this capstone project can be showcased in your portfolio that, okay, this is what I've been able to use my skills to do. These are the projects that I've worked on. All right. So sometimes your project can cover up for your experience. All right. So what you have been able to do can cover up for your working experience. And then you're also going to build 10 portfolios, 10 data analysis portfolios. So the classes are Saturdays, Sundays, and Thursdays. So Thursdays is for drop-in sessions to check up on you guys to see how you are doing. If you have issues, we offer support on Thursdays. The Saturdays and Sundays are for live classes. All right. And this is the fee for the program. And it's a 4-month program where you have different benefits: LinkedIn optimization, Upwork optimization, become a freelancer. People are making dollars. People are earning money or making plenty money in Upwork, and so many more. So we have student testimonials. You can check our LinkedIn page. You see most of all these testimonials that we have here from the students that we have trained in the past and how they've been able to excel in their workplace or being able to get jobs. All right, so our course is starting 5th of June. Okay, so it's very important that you know the start date. It is starting 15th of June, not 5th, 15th of June. Okay, so please, any questions before we call it a night? You have any questions? So you don't need to worry, the recordings will be posted.
Okay.
Okay, was that what you wanted to ask?
Is that Chinyere?
No, it's not Chinyere. Was
Wow,
that
I
what
was
you wanted?
all along. Sorry about that. Good evening.
Okay. Good evening.
Thanks for the teaching. I really enjoyed it. Though I was lost to some extent, but I hope when I get the recording, I'll be able to get it right. I've been following this program for a while. In fact, I joined once every year, and after the program, I will just backslide. So this time around, hopefully by God's grace, I will join the next batch. But that is by you say 15th, right?
15th of June. Yeah, 15th of June.
About that. So hopefully by Monday, I should be able to make the payment and join. And I hope to also, I'm not just going to join. I hope to get, what I want. I hope I'm going to get what I want from the program, because I really do want to join. I've been following your program for a very long time. She's always the one like facilitate anytime I'm joining the program. That is why I was thinking is her. So okay, this time around I hope to get what I want because I'm going to join by God's grace. Thank you.
Amen. All right, thank you, Anita. Thank you. I know that the class was long, but I hope that you all were able to learn a thing or two. So this is just tip of the iceberg. How would they say? Tip of the iceberg of what you will get from the course, from what you will get from the program. So these are just little things. We still have Power BI to cover. We still have SQL to cover. I used to be afraid of SQL. It's until you start doing it, that is when you know that it is not as hard as some people would say it is. All right, so thank you all for joining. Thank you all. Don't forget, it is 15th of June. That's our next course, 15th of June. All right, so do have a lovely night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.